Okay, hi everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be moderating this discussion with such brilliant panel today. And we are pretty mindful of the fact that our session is right before the lunch, and your mind might already be halfway through the lunch buffet, but just hang in there. This is going to be an interesting discussion. Because this is something, I mean, the topic that we are going to talk about is something that everyone and all of us have strong opinions on. So yeah, let's right jump in. The topic, of course, we've already announced, it's we're going to talk about workplaces, and when we talk about workplaces, there are a lot of themes that pop up, and we are going to pick up themes and then have discussions around that. Over the last few years, GCCs in India have gone through a lot of changes. They were before delivery centers, but then now they are transitioning, or some have already transitioned into becoming innovations hub. And when it comes to innovation hubs, workplace becomes a big catalyst or differentiator. And then that makes, or that helps GCCs attract talent or enable a workplace wherein innovation can take place. People can collaborate with each other or feel good about coming to office. So the whole discussion will revolve around how we can create offices where people actually would want to show up to, okay? So the first theme that I'm going to pick up is innovation. So Tracy, the question coming to you. Of course, most of the GCCs want a lot of problem solving to happen at workplace. A lot of ideas being generated at workplace. What do you think, how workplace can be designed today to enable this at workplace? Yeah.
Yeah, allow me to introduce myself first and why I think I could impart some knowledge around that. So KMC is actually the biggest GCC enabler in the Philippines. We do have about 25,000 seats scattered across the different major central business districts in the Philippines. And we also help in terms of recruitment HR services for our client. We've probably over 100 GCCs at the moment we've enabled already. So call it build, operate, transfer, co-manage centers of excellence. To make it, I guess, simpler for everybody to appreciate, we're probably the ANSR, the only ANSR of the Philippines, the answer to Philippines, I would say. So in terms of your question about innovation and designing that within the office, so after building so much offices in the Philippines over the past 15 years, we usually focus on three major ideas. Number one, the innovation and creativity should never be sacrificed. So we dedicate about 30% of the space in an office for innovation hubs, for common areas of all the employees to engage with, and for just generally town halls and events that could entice and engage the employees to actually go to work. So that's one. That's the creativity and the fun part. Number two is the collaboration part. These are making sure there are enough meeting pods, meeting offices, and obviously technology should be there in terms of video conferencing and everything for everyone else who's working remotely, obviously. And lastly, and the most important for us, is making sure there are enough spots for focus and productivity. I mean, obviously, it's always fun to be together, but the productivity is very, very important. In fact, I know in India, about 69% of the managers, their top priority in terms of an office, number one is the privacy that they can get from it, like having your own space to do those meetings, to make those decisions, and to be very, very productive.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe other panels are free to chime in. Um, but there are companies which are coming up with, say, focus zones, collaboration hubs, a different kind of pods, smaller pods for meetings, open seating. What do you think about that? Are they literally helping us in any way? Or is it helping in innovation? Is it helping in bringing us or taking us forward?
Should I go?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Quickly introducing myself as well. I am Romit Sen, head Blackhawk India, offices here. And yeah, I mean, bunch of things that you said, right? A lot of romanticized names in there, like activity zones, collaboration pods, focus zones. I think at the end of it, yeah, all of it is important. Like Stacy said, 30% of the spaces that they design is allocated for innovation. Now, how innovation happens, again, there are various ways to skin this cat. We've as I scouted for locations for our offices in India, we've looked at various models and we are spread across a couple of cities at this point. We are a mid-sized GCC. So our offices have had a mix of, in Bangalore, we have some collaboration space, some dedicated sort of focus activity zones. And it is important because this is something that I often say that people, the young generation today, right? The generation that has actually started working in COVID remotely. They've always been remote. They don't want to come to office. And I say this is a broad generalization, but I say they want to come to office. So as change orchestrators, as India heads or managing the sites, it behooves us that we create an ecosystem, a space where they want to come and collaborate, right, easily, where these are traditional war rooms, let's say collaboration zones. What needs to be done by like the providers, the real estate, commercial sort of real estate providers today, what we see is very, although they call it flexible, right? There's flexible seating and not assigned seating. But the workspaces themselves are like, let's say, very structured, like they're not so flexible. How have you, all of us have worked in war rooms at some point in time. What was it? Basically an 18-seater or 30-seater meeting room with a couple of D10s, and we have been looking at some dashboard during the holiday season, which is what we'll do during the next 1 month. But do you really, if I were to create a very specific war room kind of structure versus a boardroom structure, which is, they often are synonymous, like we tend to use the boardroom as a war room sometimes. The office providers, right, the commercial real estate office providers, they need to work on creating some flexible mechanical movement so that you can easily convert a war room into a boardroom into a collaboration space into a design studio, right? Because guess what? You can have all of it, but all of it is going to come at a price. You cannot have dedicated war rooms, collaboration spaces, boardrooms, because not all of it is going to be equally used all the time. The utility is, the usability factor is not going to be 100% all the time. So you have to be fungible in that way. So that's the next challenge that some of the commercial real estate providers have to solve.
You want to add?
I think, yeah, I'll just add to that, right? So what Romil was talking about, right? One of the things that's happening is that, we right now have multi-generational folks in the office, right? There are 4 generations working together at this point of time. The other thing which is also happening is that, now Sabre is a 20-year-old company, right? Now, pre-COVID, all of us have worked in offices 5 days a week, right? And I know that post-COVID, when we wanted to bring people back home, it was a struggle for all companies. And I would think that we are still struggling to bring people back home, right? And and of course, now people have come back and Sabre say now we follow a hybrid model, right? We do give remote options also. Now, these hybrid folks who are in office, now, we and many of our offices follow, many companies follow open offices, right? But you still need places where, if somebody wants to, need some quiet time and then they just need to focus on some deep work, so there needs to be a place for that, right? If you need, a place for socializing with folks, right? Because you're in office, right? You need that kind of a space. So what we need is all these different kind of spaces which inspire them to bring their best to work, right? The other thing which we also see is that we are in a model right now where, there is this buy, build, borrow model, right? So building as in you are training your own folks that they are ready for the new technology which is coming, how the world is changing, right? So you of course need the right training room setups for them to come together and get trained, right? You also have, of course, bringing the hires from outside, right? And if they come to their space, come to your space, are they inspired to and feel good about that they have joined this new company where they are now, right? And the borrow part of it, right, where you're borrowing resources from another company. Now, Coforge is our partner that we announced this partnership earlier this year, right? Now, we use them as a they augment our workforce, right? Now, many a times, these folks also need to come and sit with our people because the ownership and accountability of the product still lies with Sabre, right? But you need to work very closely with them. So now workspaces look at all these different things and that's how they are built. So if I tell you just about Sabre also, right? I mean, during the COVID times, the few years that passed after that, we gave away some of our floors because they were not being occupied, right? Because people were not coming. And last year we had these offices where, we did not have name spaces for people, right? Because we said, you don't have to come because we don't, force people to be in office for 8 hours. There's very lot of flexibility, so people come for a few hours. So we said, you don't need name spaces because you're just coming, collaborating, talking to people, attending some training, and you're going back, and you probably don't need name spaces. That's what we were last year, right? But coming to this year, people had this thing that, no, I mean, we need our namespaces also because we want to create our own desk, right? Where I have my photograph, I have my plant or whatever. I want to create my own space also in office because I want to, have a space that I can come to office and call that as my space kind of a thing. So in fact, just last week, we signed up for 2 new floors, right? So I would think that like the way we say that technology is changing, the workplaces are also changing. So with the changing needs of the workspace, different things are coming up.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective of having own space versus the open space wherein people are free to sit anywhere and then work. Now, an honest question, and I'm harping on this point a little more than required. Of course, I had not timed, I had timed it to be completed in 5 minutes, but see, all the discussions or all the points that we talked about, these were coming from employer point of view. What do you think from employee's point of view? Is it helping, everything that we talked about, different kind of seating, different kind of arrangements, is it helping people want to come to office? A quick yes, no, maybe anything will help.
Well, I mentioned earlier, in the Philippines at least, the typical, home of an employee is too small and too chaotic to even have focused work. So they do appreciate those kinds of office facilities and areas where you are able to, well, first of all, socialize and collaborate with your office mates. But other than that, is be able to actually be productive and be focused on work with high-speed internet, with very robust IT infrastructure where data privacy is also ensured. So it is definitely something, it's a win-win, I would think, for the employer and the employee. Because they do get the productivity, the employers get the productivity they need, and the employees get the work done in a more conducive environment, I would say.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Anyone would?
Footfall, if I compare our previous, just comparing in more recent times, right? Our previous office versus the current office. We've seen increase in footfall with better designs coming in place with, let's say, bigger desks, spaces for collaboration, plenty meeting rooms. We have seen people who do want to come to office, and of course that needs to be paired up with the overall location strategy as well. You can have a like all the good office structures and all of the innovation spaces inside, but within Bangalore, a very important factor is it reachable, right? That is where you have to perform a very complex exercise of where, if you are doing a location strategy, where in Bangalore are most of your employees based out of? And we even went with something to the effect of having a policy where we would only call in people within 25 kilometers of our office to Bangalore, because anything beyond that, for instance, would naturally mean that they would have to travel 2 hours on one side, and that's not the right use of somebody's time. So yeah, I mean, of course, it has to be paired up with the location strategy, but the inside of the office, the structure of it, the design of it, it does help productivity. One of the things we also did was a lot of, instead of having all the products, all the engineering or design sit in their own respective spaces, we did a co-location around the product outcomes or a product delivery streams, right? So each product team would be fully stacked, right, with the product managers, the engineering team, the UX design, right, the risks team, all sitting together in one place. And one of the ways we kind of measure productivity that way is, are your decision cycles shortened, right? Do you have to reach out to somebody, even if it is going to another floor, right? Sometimes you do have to meet people one-on-one, try and sort of explain the gravity of the situation. But hey, can you reach out to somebody right to your right side or your left side and have a quick conversation? And does that cycle your decision, reduce your decision cycle times? So that's a good way to measure your productivity in one ways other than footfall, of course.
Yeah, thank you.
Just quickly adding to that, right? I think from a employee perspective, right? Now, we spoke about multi-generation folks. Now, when I look at the Gen Zs, these are usually bachelors now, right? Now, these bachelors do not want to sit at home and work because they're all alone at home, right? So they actually prefer coming to office. Right? We have also seen that a lot of people say that, you know, when you're in office, when the team is in office, it's so much easier to coordinate. Otherwise, you know, you're pinging people on the teams and calling and stuff, and multiple coordination is happening unless you bring people into a thing. It's much easier in an office space. We have also seen that brainstorming happens so much better in a physical space. And we all know, right, there are so many conversations that get happened on the hallway than actually in the meeting, which helps how things work, right? So that's from an employee perspective.
Again, since you brought up Gen Z, we were doing a pre-placement talk very recently to graduates. And one common question that, you know, so many people asked, different pre-placement talks we were having in different colleges, and then this question was common coming from all colleges, from Gen Z, that do we get remote work options? So, yeah, another kind of, you know, different side of this story. Maybe they wouldn't have seen the workplace and hence that thought. But let's move to another interesting topic, which is employee experience we all feel strongly about. Renzi, I would like your take on this question. What are the elements that really matter when designing a workplace that attracts and retains people?
So, like I was saying before, I think what the workplace has to provide is people where people can come together for various needs, right? Could be for socializing, could be for eating together, could be for meetings, could be for learning places, right? And what organizations need to create is also workplaces that inspire them to, you know, do those things, right? And like I was saying, right, all of our offices now have these social places for playing a TT or any of these small games, right? And these helps them to collaborate very well. So I think it's very important that, you know, like I always tell folks in our office, right, that if you have to just work on your computer, you can do that at home also, right? When you're in office, use that time to socialize, use that time to work with others, use that time to network with others, right? Or meet your mentor, kind of a thing. You use that time in the right way, right? Because it's not that you are here entire 8 hours. Right? So I think what our workspaces need to have is that, right? But going beyond just the designing of the offices also, I think what's also important is that we are giving them a safe space, right? Safe space where they can talk what they think is in their mind. Space where they feel included in decision making, space that inspires them to do their best, right? Where you feel that this is my own space, right? And not just building chairs, desks. It goes beyond that, like a place that I can call it's my own.
Yeah, thank you. Um, and any of you can chime in. This recreation zone, wellness area, having nap rooms, etc. Nowadays, a lot of companies are investing in. What do you think? Are we getting a return on those investments? Is it like people are coming to office to use those benefits or use those experiences, or it's a feel-good factor for people?
You know, the more and more I hear and from everyone, I feel like the Philippines and India are more similar, the same than we are different. These nap areas, we always had them in all of our offices. I believe, well, there are definitely guidelines on how to use them. Obviously, it's not something that you should be staying in forever or a long time. But I think it does help a lot in terms of productivity. The traffic situation in India is similar to the Philippines as well. So having those kinds of facilities on site help a lot of our employees whenever they have to leave earlier or later their houses just to avoid traffic and be able to nap or even shower, because we provide shower rooms as well. So it's like home away from home, and it's also something that allows them to actually be more productive instead of spending hours on the road, be able to plan their transportation, be in the office, do exercise, since we do offer also fitness areas in our office. That's a very big part of our design as well. So really be able to present a space wherein it really entices creativity and productivity by giving them what they need and lessening the burden and the stress of getting to your workplace.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just quickly add to, I think they've painted a pretty good picture. Gen Z especially is a pretty demanding generation and a workforce, right? So they are eventually going to drive all the requirements that, like a lot of requirements that you'll have to create, right, from a workplace design perspective. Like Stacy said, in Philippines, you have shower rooms, you might have gyms, and those are things that we see in India offices as well. Maybe not shower rooms, but certainly gyms. And the demand is only going to grow, right? Now, while demands are growing, one of the things, all of this being discussed is excellent, right? If it were up to me, I would provide everything. But is it up to me completely? No. As I said, there is a cost element to it. You also need to get the blessings of your sort of so-called headquarters based in somewhere in the US. And guess what? There is a pressure to sort of, as you are designing, if you are looking for a new location or planning to move to a bigger location, there is an increasing ask to move in a cost-neutral fashion or even save dollars for the company, right? Now, that's a difficult task, which is where I said initially that the same spaces have to be redesigned with minimal mechanical delta, right? As I said, I call it mechanical delta because can you change a war room to become a boardroom by moving around pieces? That's where intelligent architecture, intelligent design needs to also come into place. Because guess what, you will not have the luxury of getting like 100,000 square feet place all the time. You might have to manage with let's say 30,000 square feet place. Now within those 30,000 square feet, how well do you optimize and convert one kind of space into another? That's where I think the future is headed to, because the Gen Zs are asking for it. They are asking for a dry pantry. I want to like Renzi said, I want to have a games studio. I want to have a yoga studio. I want to have an in-office massage parlor, masseuse, and those things are there in many offices in the US. And as they are getting more and more exposure, they want some of these things in India as well. Can we provide it? Yes. Cost is one factor, and space, getting the square foot and managing all of that in a smartly designed sort of mechanical, with minimum mechanical delta, I keep saying that is a critical part to crack.
Yeah, and this leads me to the question of most of the companies following hybrid model, which means it's not 100% occupied on any given day. Or maybe, companies who are following fixed work from office days, they will have 100% occupancy on those days, but then other days it will be like kind of empty. Do you think it makes cost economical sense to invest so much in all the benefits that we need or people are kind of demanding for or looking for at workplaces?
I'll probably start. Like I was saying, right? I mean, that's what our thought process was also last year when we brought people in and we said, we're not defining the number of hours. You have all the space to work. You can sit in any of the seatings. So basically, all of them are mobile seats for them to use. But what came back to us is that they still wanted to create that personal space when they are there for the hours they are there, right? And I think as organization, it's our responsibility that we are able to give them a space where, they're productive, that they feel productive, right? That it's worth coming to office, because otherwise they can probably create these spaces at home also, right? So I think when I look at the cost versus, the productivity, if I'm able to generate productivity by giving them that space, which is used few hours, like say we follow a hybrid thing, so they come 3 days a week, right? If it gives them that, then it's great, right? Because that becomes an attraction for them to come to office, right? And I think it's also an organization's need that we bring people back to office, right? So I think it's just looking at what's best for both.
Without
Yeah,
trying to be too patronizing of what we offer as a business. No, I think that's where the flexible offices really make sense. It can allow you to scale up, scale down anytime. The common areas are not charged to you. You are charged on a per seat basis on the production that you use. And the common areas are used by your neighbors. It's like you're crowdsourcing these amenities across the different companies. And as a flexible office provider as well, you've built so much offices already that at this point you do know what works, and you've gotten a lot of suggestions from hundreds and hundreds of clients that are looking for that. It's funny what Romit was saying earlier, a yoga studio, and in all our offices we have a room called a mind and body room. It transforms from a yoga studio, a dance studio, into a training room as well. Everything is modular, movable, it's flat. You can lay flat your yoga mat and everything. And in the morning, if you do need some training, the training tables come in and everything works, the audiovisual works. So those things that that we've thought about already along with our clients, it is something that allows a lot of companies to scale up, scale down, and more efficiently, I guess, on the expense side of things, not be the only one spending on all these amenities and sharing it with everyone else in the flexible office, right?
So, so that's a good insight. Now, if I look at Bangalore, India, and then Bangalore specifically, the argument that I keep having with myself is, how employee would feel like coming to work. Okay, so right now it's a mix of employer wanting them to come, so it's a mandate. Plus, of course, they are coming and then they are looking for certain benefits and experiences at work. But then if we have to kind of shift the needle towards employees looking forward to coming to work, considering the challenges that we face in Bangalore, considering that pandemic kind of showed them and us what was kind of impossible 5 years back, working from your personal space from home, there is a big push. Now, just to give you an example, our offices have pantry food 24/7 available, whatever they want. They want energy drinks to very healthy food items. Everything we kind of serve. We have those focus zones and then open seating space, etc. We have wellness room, which nobody is using. So there are so many things which we are providing. Still, every people town hall that we will conduct, there will be this question that why are we, so we have mandated 3 days from office, so there is always this kind of question that why can't we reduce it or kind of go remote or make it more flexible, etc. So it never ends. Now, if you could probably help answer this question, that what is one thing that can certainly help us do something which employees will look forward to coming to office. Of course, we are talking about workplace. We are not talking about other factors like, say, learning, etc. We are focusing mainly on workplace. So in terms of workplace design, what is something that will kind of attract these people? Specifically for Bangalore, if I have to kind of point out. Traffic. Yeah.
I mean, it's a loaded question. I mean, what brings them to office is primarily, hopefully not the office only, right? I have seen offices with pretty modest setups where you have a tremendous, let's say, architect or engineer, and he or she is going to be able to sort of drive a bunch of people, motivate a bunch of people to come to office and work with them. They are coming to office because they want to learn, let's say, there's exponential learning, as they said, right next to this person, and they are able to drive productivity, teach them a lot of stuff. But workplace is important, right? All of that remaining same, a good accessible workplace. As I said, there are factors. I'm not getting inside the building. If I look at the location strategy itself is very important, because that kind of becomes the first question. Because if you are joining a new company, the first question that you ask is, where is this company located, right? An outer ring road office is obviously going to raise eyebrows, for instance, not dissing anybody, any company that's in the outer ring road. We were in ORR and we moved out of there. But the first question is, you don't see the interiors of you do check it out on Glassdoor, for instance, right? How does it look? Is it too shabby? Okay. But I feel there's a logarithmic curve, like beyond a certain sort of facility, I think there's a diminishing rate of return on spending every dollar in making it more swanky, right? After a point in time, it's not going to yield a lot of value. The primary value, one of the primary things that is going to drive traffic to office is, of course, the overall work culture, right? The location of the office. Are there good people? Yes. Are you surrounded by good colleagues, right? Is there an environment for learning, to be sort of openly admit your mistakes, to innovate, and all of those things are important. If all of those remain the same, then the location is the second important factor, and then the inside of the office. They are kind of, I rate them as equal rank 2 items. But yeah, I mean, you could basically understand Gen Z trends. What are they looking for, right? Is there a salad bar that they want in office instead of like a dry pantry? You can provide that. And there are some of these changes do not come at a lot of costs. You got to be able to balance your cost while doing some of these changes that can move the needle on employee satisfaction as much as possible. A dry salad bar, for instance, a yoga studio, for instance. Those are not heavy investments. Now, if they're asking for something super fancy, that's where you have a problem in your hands. Thankfully, at least I don't have to face it right now, because there are little tweaks that we keep on doing where we keep moving the needle on employee engagement a little bit.
Thank you. I guess we are at time. So anyone can just add one last line or word. What is something that future GCC must have?
I think I'll just go first, and just adding to what Rovil was saying, right? I think what's important is we are in a world where there is no one size that fits all. I think, right, we need to personalize as to what is the need for different generations, different type of folks who are coming in. So I think we are moving to a world, and what Tracy was talking also about, then we need those flexible places which can change to what is the need of the hour. So that's what we need, super flexibility at workplaces.
Thank you.
Flexible workspaces, and hopefully more innovative designs, because most of the designs that, while scouting for location, most of the designs we see is pretty cookie cutter. It's the same structure, hardly any variances in those designs, little bit, 5-10%, but something for the future. Think like Japanese house designs, right? How your kitchen can get, like you can pull up some stuff and it becomes your living room, right? So
That
that is
has-
going to be the key of the future, I think.
That is like a common theme coming from all your answers as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for that. Tracy.
Since both Renzi and Ramit already mentioned flexibility, which is, in front of center of what we do, I'll just say never lose the fun in the fundamentals of an office. So there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, panels, for coming in. And then thanks, everybody, for staying back. And yeah, have a good day.